personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. The sports world keeps spinning, and the local conversation continues. Now, Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. We are 24 hours away from the NFL schedule being released in totality. All 17 games. We already know who the Jaguars are playing. We know where the games are being played. We just don't know when. We'll find out 24 hours from now. We got a sneak peek, an appetizer, if you will, earlier today, finding out the Jaguars will be the home team on October 1st, taking on the Atlanta Falcons. They will stay in London a week later to be the road team October 8th against the Buffalo Bills. That is very, very interesting, and we're going to spend some time on that here very soon on Hacker After Dark. In fact, inside of 20 minutes, we'll go to London. Sky Sports' Neil Reynolds will join us. He's our guy over in London when it comes to the Jaguars and the London audience. And Neil Reynolds, who's been a part of Sky Sports for many years, will give his thoughts on a really good slate of international games, not just Jacksonville, Buffalo. You got Baltimore, Tennessee going over there. You got Kansas City, Miami. My goodness, Tyreek Hill not having a homecoming at Arrowhead. He's going to play the Chiefs in Germany. So a really good international slate, but 2 Jaguar games. And I knew this was going to happen earlier today. When Pro Football Talk and ESPN and all these websites say the Jaguars playing 2 games in London, back-to-back games in London, you got to be careful with headlines like that, man. It doesn't tell the whole story. It's not 2 home games. It's 1 home game. And instead of having to travel to Buffalo, the hardest road game on the Jaguars' schedule, now the Jaguars get to play Buffalo in a neutral site in London. It will probably be more like a Jaguar home game. So we'll get into that. Kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit, some of the talk earlier today. Also, coming up, Matt Verderame, Sports Illustrated. He's going to join us talking the Jaguars, the AFC South. He's with SI and the Monday Morning Quarterback. Matt Verderame, I can tell you right now, is very, very high on the Jacksonville Jaguars coming into 2023, and he is very, very low on basically every other team in the AFC South. So I think Jaguar fans, you will enjoy his analysis, his prognostication. That comes up inside of 40 minutes. But as we do every night, to kick it off here on Hacker After Dark, we do give you a big deal of the night. And in fact, we have a couple big deals of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, so I want to get back to London in one moment. Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry was on XL Primetime earlier today. And the thought is Jaguars playing 2 games in London, although only one, important, only one is a home game. The thought about the renovating of the stadium downtown came back up. That topic came back up today. So Lenny Curry, again, Jacksonville mayor, going out, I guess, leaving the mayor's office pretty soon, right? We got an election coming up. I want to say Tuesday is voting day. I think early election is going on right now. Get out there and rock the vote, no matter who you vote for. Just make your voice heard one way or the other. So Lenny Curry was on XL Primetime on 1010XL, and he was asked a few questions that I want you to hear. First of which, renovating the stadium. If it takes a long time, where would the Jaguars potentially play if home games are affected during the season?
I expect that the renovation will take 2 years, 2 seasons. And the team will have to play somewhere else. The goal would be to play somewhere in Jacksonville. Those discussions are happening. But 2 years is the goal.
All right, so I actually heard that live this morning, and I did a double take. It was one of those things where I'm kind of listening to it. I was doing some other things. We're getting ready for the show tonight. And the goal would be to find another place in Jacksonville to play. I've lived in Jacksonville, Florida since 1995, since I was 11 years old. I'm going to be 40 in October. There's not another place to play NFL games in Jacksonville, Florida. At least I don't think so. The only other thing that I could even contemplate would be Hodges Stadium, right, at UNF. That thing's like a 10,000 seat venue. There's no high school stadium big enough. There's no college football stadium here. There's no soccer stadium here. You can't play a game at the baseball grounds of Jacksonville, I wouldn't think. So that kind of caught me off guard. So Lenny Curry was asked again about certain sites they could consider playing at here in town.
I do know that they are considering certain sites that are local that could accommodate them for at least 2 years. Was it the Chargers that played in a very small stadium for a couple of years? Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they were
soccer
the
stadium.
20,000 seater. Yeah.
Again, the goal is to play those football games in Jacksonville. I know they care about that.
The stadium needs to be renovated, all right? In a perfect world, it needs to be built brand new, but I'll take a overhaul or renovation. We've talked about this many, many times. The conversation will continue until something happens with that stadium. It's the oldest stadium in the National Football League that has not been renovated. Buffalo, I believe, is currently the oldest, but Buffalo is getting a brand new venue. Tennessee's stadium is 4 years younger than the Jaguars, right? Tennessee, Nashville, they built that thing in 1999. This thing has been built here in Jacksonville back in 1995. And Tennessee just got funding to build like a $2.1 billion brand new stadium in Nashville. You know, we see what's been done in Dallas and Las Vegas and Los Angeles and Arizona, New York. You know, you go on and on and on. And we've done nice things with this stadium. The scoreboards are awesome, right? The pools are great. They've done what they could do within reason, but you need a new stadium. And I thought it was interesting that when the thing ultimately gets renovated, they're going to try to find games or places to play here in Jacksonville. And that just caught me off guard because for the life of me, I cannot imagine a scenario where you could play an NFL game at Hodges Stadium. That's the only place that comes to mind. I mean, it's the only place that even would enter my thought process. Got some nice high school stadiums here, but come on, that's not realistic. I don't know why, Florida or Florida State or maybe even Orlando wouldn't come into play. I think ultimately that's where it'll land if the stadium, hopefully when the stadium gets renovated and they can't play here, they'd have to move somewhere else. I don't know logistically about playing at Florida or Florida State or Orlando. I don't know how that would look optics-wise either. Florida's a 90,000-seat stadium. Florida State's an 5,000-seat stadium. You're not probably going to fill those things. I don't know if that's any consideration. Orlando is an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours away. Is that too far? You'd have the same issue in Tallahassee. Gainesville is a little closer, but again, that's a 90,000-seat stadium. So the thought is always going to be there. The talk is always going to be there. Something needs to happen. I mean, you could argue, and I'm not trying to be ugly or mean here. Let's just be honest. If you guys, you gals have been to these other NFL markets, have you gone to Atlanta recently and you seen what they have downtown? That thing is ridiculous. Have you gone to Las Vegas or LA or Dallas or Miami even and seen those stadiums? Indianapolis, ridiculous. I mean, these things are cathedrals. They are just unbelievable sports entities. And I love what we have here. I grew up in that stadium. My first game ever, I was 11 years old in 1995. I mean, I have grown up at TIAA Bank Field or whatever you want to call it through the years, through the sponsorships, etc. But yeah, the time has come that we need to really do something about it. And it's unfortunate that it would probably cost, a year or two of attending games down there, but it would be so much better in the end to have a brand new or a fully renovated stadium. Talk to people in Miami. Miami Stadium was awful. That thing got renovated. It's nice now. People love it. That's what they're looking to do here in Jacksonville. It's probably it's a long time coming. It probably should have happened sooner than this. But, again, I just thought it was interesting what Lenny Curry had to say on XL Primetime. Quickly, he about the whole renovated versus new stadium idea. He does believe, and I'll let you hear what he had to say on Primetime today, that it will be a renovated situation as opposed to a brand new stadium.
I believe that it's going to be, I really believe that it's going to be a major renovation, but that you will, when it's done, you'll think you're in a brand new stadium because we're basically renovating because the bones are good. It will be a completely different facility. It will be state of the art. It will be something that other cities look at and say, wow, look at what Jacksonville just did.
More on that situation as news warrants here on 1010XL. The other big deal of the day, obviously, is the two games in London. The Jaguars will be the home team October 1st as they take on the Atlanta Falcons. They will be the road team October 8th as they take on the Buffalo Bills. If the Jaguars were going to play two games in London, this is the perfect scenario. When I saw this news this morning, a big smile came across my face. You look at the home schedule here in Jacksonville. You keep Kansas City, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Baltimore, right? You keep your division games with Houston and with Tennessee and with Indianapolis. You also get Carolina here, the number one pick in Bryce Young. It is a ridiculous home schedule. You could argue the worst home game or the lackluster home game would have probably been Atlanta. So that one goes to London. On the flip side, the road games, to me, there's no question the hardest road game the Jaguars were going to have in 2023 was traveling to Buffalo. Now you get Buffalo in London, all right? You don't have to go to the state of New York, deal with the Bills Mafia. You get them in London. That game could have all sorts of playoff implications, tiebreakers, seeding, etc. I don't know if Jacksonville's going to beat Buffalo in London, but I had a pretty good inkling they weren't going to beat them in Buffalo. To me, this is a great day for the Jaguars. Now, say what you will about playing two games over there, but again, I'll remind you, it's only one home game and one road game. The Jaguars have 8 games in Jacksonville, 7 true road games, and now 2 games in London. To me, you sacrifice what was probably the worst home game on the schedule, Atlanta, and that sucks, but it's it's the reality of the situation. But you also, from a competitive advantage, do not have to travel to Buffalo now. You get them in London, and if I'm a Bills fan, I'm furious. That's a huge game for the Buffalo Bills. That's a playoff potential seeding game, tiebreaker, like I said, and the fact that Buffalo loses that home game against Jacksonville and has to play the Jaguars in London, to me, great news for Jacksonville and a bad deal for the Buffalo Bills. So if I'm a Jaguar fan, I am far from upset about this. In fact, like I said, a grin came across my face because whatever the implications of playing 2 games over there, I'm just simply talking about the 2023 season. And for the 2023 season, all the great home matchups remain here in Jacksonville, and your toughest road game becomes a neutral site game. Again, good news today for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Having said that, let's talk with Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports over in London. What was the reaction to Jacksonville going over there twice? They're going to stay over there October 1st and October 8th. We'll talk to Neil Reynolds about that. Also, some really good international games. Baltimore and Tennessee, Kansas City, Miami to go with Buffalo and Jacksonville. We'll talk with Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports over in London about the Jaguars, London, and the National Football League. That's next on a Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Is this heaven?
No, it's the great before. This is where new souls get their personalities, quirks, and interests before they go to Earth.
1010XL.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org.
Apply by May 18th.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, it's Prosser here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? Does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound about right now? Well, Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loans, consolidate all your payments into one check per month, and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now to see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto at 999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Allentown Mortgage gives you both a fast online application process and an expert mortgage advisor to get you the best mortgage at the most competitive rate in the nation. You can be a number at a big box bank and spend weeks filling out paperwork, or call Allentown Mortgage. Eric summed it up in his 5-star Google review. Allentown knows the mortgage industry. When the big boxes say no, they say yes. The whole process went very smoothly. Get the mortgage experience you want. Go to allentownmortgage.com. That's allentownmortgage.com. NMLS number 103917, 4810 Executive Park, Jacksonville.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I said yes to Yas, Dr. Mitchell Yas, and the Yas method. Now, I know you've probably tried medications, treatments, injections, even surgery. Maybe the reason you're still in pain is because they're treating the wrong thing and not addressing the root causes. Well, I know from personal experience, this does happen. But I found the best-kept secret in pain elimination, Dr. Yas and the Yas method. Call him today, 904-906-YASS, and say yes to Yas.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 10, 1970, in the Stanley Cup Final, Bobby Orr scores his famous OT winner as Boston beats the Blues for a series sweep and first title since 1941.
Country's hottest rising star, Riley Green, live.
There was this girl, drink in her hand, shoot me.
July 6th, St. Augustine Amphitheater. Riley Green, with special guests Corey Smith and Channing Wilson. On sale Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Riley Green, live in concert.
This is Dr. Barbara Rappaport, and I have the perfect Mother's Day gift for all the moms, grandmas, wifeys, and aunties in your life. A personalized gift from The Aesthetic Center off Southside and JTB. Help the beautiful ladies in your life look and feel their best with our wide variety of face and body treatments. Call or text us today and ask about our Mother's Day specials, 808-2455, or book her appointment online at jaxaestheticcenter.com.
The Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa is the perfect place for indulging in a pampering spa treatment. This Mother's Day season, give the gift of wellness with a gift card and take advantage of the spa's current promotion. Buy a $75 gift card or more and guests get a credit towards a future service. With healing massages, revitalizing facial treatments, and more, a day at the Sawgrass Spa makes a perfect gift for everyone. Purchase in person at Sawgrass Spa during operating hours.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, is home all week at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark. Tomorrow is Coors Light Thirsty Thursday with beer specials. Then it's Red Shirt Friday with fireworks. And the first 2,000 fans on Saturday get free Vice. Plus more fireworks courtesy of River Point Behavioral Health and 1-to-1 Financial. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable, family, fun.
E.T. here, and y'all know how much I like my brown water, but I ain't gonna lie, it gives me headaches sometimes. So my alternative is Brackish Vodka. This gluten-free alternative to Tito's is 100% local, And all monies stays right here in Duval. Not only does Brackish Vodka make you feel good, but when you support Brackish Vodka, you're also helping local charities. Try it side by side with your favorite vodka, and you will taste and smell how natural Brackish Vodka really is. And when you do, remember who sent you. Come on, somebody.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The first little tidbits of the NFL schedule came out today. Of course, it will be released 100% tomorrow, but we know now the Jacksonville Jaguars will play 2 games in London. One is the home team against the Atlanta Falcons, the other as the road team against the Buffalo Bills in back-to-back games on October 1st and October 8th. Let's go to one of our guys over in London, Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Neil, it's a big day over there, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's a very exciting day. Thanks for having me, Ryan. It's always a day that never gets old. We've had regular season games since 2007 now. The Jags have been playing since 2013, but it feels like Christmas morning every time we get these games. And obviously we have 3 in London and 2 in Germany this year as well. So 5 regular season games in Europe. It really is incredible how far we've come. And no one takes it for granted. We enjoy every single one of them.
You know, when it comes to the Jaguars, obviously a difference this year, Neil. Back-to-back games, 2 games in London, one as a home team against Atlanta, the other as a road team against Buffalo. Word started seeping out about this a couple of weeks back, Neil. How is this being received over there that for the first time an NFL team will play 2 games in London?
I think it just kind of further cements the Jags' relationship with London, which, having done a lot of work with the Jags in recent years, strengthens their hand in Jacksonville as well. It makes them, a more financially, more globally appealing NFL franchise. And so I think it's been well received. The fans are, I think, very excited about where the Jags are heading. Reaching the final 8 last year in the NFL has certainly helped that, and I've seen it in the past couple of years, more and more of those Trevor Lawrence jerseys seeping into the fans. The London games are all about fans of all 32 teams, but, it used to be back in 2013, you'd do well to spot a Jags jersey, and now there will be plenty of them at Wembley Stadium, and then there will be plenty in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for, 2 very intriguing matchups, and again, it just a team being willing to come play back-to-back games does 2 things. It emphasizes that commitment to the UK and to the international growth of the NFL, but it also gives the Jags and the NFL the chance to have a team in market for a good chunk of time in season there to do some stuff with players. I'm going on a stage show tour with some players across England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland in June. I think we'll do more stage shows between these 2 games, which I'll be hosting as well. So, yeah, it's exciting, and it's again that next step of further commitment.
Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports. The Jaguars 2 games over in London, October 1st against Atlanta, October 8th against Buffalo. Neil, the Jaguars and the Bills. And then also what really stands out, the Chiefs and the Dolphins. I mean, when you look at the AFC, those are 4 contenders, and those games over there in Europe, I think the Chiefs and the Dolphins game is in Germany. Those games are going to be vital, potentially, in deciding playoff seeding at the end of the year. So not only is Europe getting some NFL quality games, but they're getting games that could mean an awful lot come playoff time.
Yeah, I think we're getting those sort of games that, if you think back to last season or recent seasons when the Bills and Chiefs met in the regular season, when the Bengals and the Chiefs met in the regular season, I think Trevor Lawrence against Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill going back to face the Chiefs, but in Germany, not Arrowhead. Those are going to get the same kind of national attention across America and certainly now around the world. So they are premier games. They are blue ribbon events, and I love the Bills and the Jags because I just think it's two, and I think Trevor's there or very close to being there. It's two elite quarterbacks. It's two teams that will feel they've got a genuine chance in the AFC, and I just love the Josh Allen versus Josh Allen rematch. I mean, in 2021 when Jacksonville's Josh Allen had a sack, an interception, a forced fumble, the following year, so last summer I was on tour with Josh around the UK, and I kind of played videos of that game, and I thought he might just joke about it. I think he seriously put out the fact that Buffalo's quarterback has the same name as him. That game meant something. I mean, talk about find your motivation any way you can. So Josh gets another go at Josh.
You know, Neil, you mentioned it a little earlier. Since the Jaguars have been over there, with the exception of 2017, let's be honest, they've not been very good. They've been one of the worst teams in the National Football League. But then they had the resurgence last year with Trevor Lawrence, with Doug Peterson, and now all the expectations with the arrival of Calvin Ridley is that this is going to be a very good football team in 2023. Is the feeling over there any different about the Jaguars now because it appears the arrow is pointing up?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Trevor, people recognize that Trevor's the real deal. And, you know, to see the kind of rise in his popularity here has been something tangible. I see it when I look around the stadium and I see all of those jerseys. So I think that's for real. I think there's definitely a recognition that you know, that we held a live viewing party for Sky Sports during the Jags Chiefs playoff game, and I'd say 2/3 of the room was Jags fans, and you know, they recognise that you definitely need a good head coach and you need an elite quarterback in the NFL to eat at the top table, and the Jags have both of those. So, you know, I don't think people thought last year was a fluke. You know, I think everyone I talk to and you get the sense from Jags fans here is, okay, how do we build on 2022? Not, you know, do you think it's possible we could even repeat that? No, they want to build on that, and I'm sure I'd get the same answer if I was in Jacksonville. So, very exciting, you know, and the way Trevor grew last year, you know, the late wins against Baltimore, Dallas, and then obviously the comeback against the Chargers. Yeah, this team is legit, and they're viewed that way even over here in the UK.
Final moments here with Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports. The Jaguars playing 2 games over in London, October 1st against Atlanta, October 8th against Buffalo. Neil, you living over there, you've obviously talked to a lot of these NFL players over the last decade or so. One of the concerns we've seen on the East Coast this morning is coming from Buffalo and the Bills fans saying, well, wait a minute. The Jaguars are already going to be over there playing Atlanta. They're going to be established. They're not going to have jet lag or whatever. And then we have to go over there and play them after they've already been there for a week. Anything to that, in your opinion, or is Buffalo and their fan base just kind of upset about the situation for no reason?
Yeah, there's no statistical reason for that. I've spoken to coaches and general managers who like to stay in America and get their work done and fly on come in on the Friday. We've had teams come in on the Monday leading up to game weeks. There's no correlation between when you arrive in London and when you play the game. I think even those teams that come in late, I worked the NFL draft recently with Rick Spielman, who came over a couple of times with the Vikings as their general manager. They have sleep plans, they have sleep experts, they have nutritionists. So you can come in late and be ready to play come Sunday lunchtime. So there's not been anything to that. And I think, I think the Bills fans should just prepare themselves to, cover themselves in ketchup and mustard and throw themselves through some tables. Just have a good time in London. Don't worry about how long the Jags have been in.
Well, I'll tell you, I think from the Jaguar perspective, too, the fact that you don't have to go to Buffalo and you get kind of a home field advantage, right? I mean, when the Jaguars and the Bills play, I think they actually played over there once already. And if memory serves, that was the crazy Blake Bortles to Alan Hearns play. Yeah, so this will be a rematch with Buffalo and Jacksonville over in London. It did not go well for the Bills last time. Neil, as we say goodbye, last year I had you on, and there was a thought that you threw out there about at some point the National Football League having an international division. And when you told me that last year, it kind of caught me off guard, to be honest. I haven't had any conversations with anybody since then. Do you still feel that that's a possibility, that at some point the NFL will expand for an NFL international division?
I think you just got to look at these games and the Chiefs taking the Dolphins game from Arrowhead Stadium. I think that's quite significant to take that to Germany. I think the Patriots, Bill Belichick coming over, and then what the Jags are doing as well. There's definitely a commitment to the UK and Germany. More and more teams are marketing themselves over here and wanting to get involved in these markets. It's only a conversation. I think it's only a conversation, but I always think, go back to when that first kind of broke last year. I kind of was joking with the commissioner about it, a live event that I was hosting, and the commissioner, Roger Goodell, said, a European division is something we're looking at. Now, this is a man who is very careful with his words. I'm not skilled enough to trip up the commissioner of the NFL. He says what he wants to say and when he wants to say it. And so, look, there's something to that. There's certainly an eye on the UK and Germany. As we come up to this season as well, this will be the 10th and 11th regular season games the Jags have played in London. This is significant. You've got a real bedrock of NFL fans here. You've got an NFL academy. There's a foundation doing great community work. The Jags have their Jag Tag program where they go into schools and play flag football. So, there's foundations here now. So, it's still a lot of work to get that to happen, but I think there must be some conversations going on about it.
Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports. Neil, we'll have you on in October, certainly, when the Jaguars come over there for a couple of games. But as far as tickets, when they go on sale, what's the best way for Jaguar fans that are seeing this news today, if they want to make the trip to London, what's the best way to start that process and go about getting over there?
Yes, you can go to nfl.com/London. But also you can follow at Jaguars UK on social media. But then there will also be, I'm pretty certain there will be a sale to Jags fans locally as well. But if you're listening to this from around the world, go to nfl.com/London, register your interest. You have to register your interest there to be able to buy tickets. As always, the London tickets, the Germany tickets, they're going to be a hot ticket. So.
Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports. Neil, thank you for the time on what is a very busy day for you guys over there. Congratulations. Again, 5 international games, including some really good ones, including Baltimore and Tennessee. We didn't even talk about that one. You got Jacksonville, Buffalo. You got Kansas City, Miami. A bunch of good games heading to Europe. Neil, congratulations. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me on, Ryan.
There you go, Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports. And, I'll go back and say it again. I know there are some Jaguar fans that are not happy about 2 games in London. My reaction to that is you knew one game was going to be over there, right? You knew it was. That's just the reality of the situation that we're in right now, is that the Jaguars are going to play one home game in London. They've been doing it for the last decade. Why you're upset with 2 games, I don't know, because you're not losing 2 home games. I'm just trying to get people to understand that. You were going to go to Buffalo. You were going to be on the road, traveling to Buffalo, and to play in one of the hardest environments in the National Football League. Instead, now Buffalo and Jacksonville both have to travel to London to play a, quote, Bills home game, but in reality, it's nothing worse than a neutral site. And in reality, it's probably going to be a pro-Jaguars crowd. So your one home game against Atlanta, that's the best home game to me to lose, because it means Kansas City, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Baltimore, Carolina, and your 3 division games stay here in Duval County. If you had to lose one, to me, I would have chose to lose Atlanta. And your toughest road game now becomes a neutral site. So I don't understand why necessarily fans are upset unless they just don't understand the basic premise that it's not 2 home games. It's 1 home game and 1 road game. But that is the reality. Jackson was over there October 1st and October 8th. We will find out the other 15 games tomorrow night when the NFL schedule is officially announced. Again, we know who the Jaguars are playing. We know where the Jaguars are playing. We're just waiting for when those games will take place, and we will find out that in less than 24 hours. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated talking Jaguars, talking AFC South, and more. He is coming up in a matter of moments. Let me update you on the NBA and the NHL playoffs. The New York Knicks looking to avoid elimination tonight. They are down 3-1 to the Miami Heat. Game 5 at Madison Square Garden. Miami and the Knicks. Knicks up 3 at halftime, 50-47. That game has just gone into the half. In the National Hockey League, the Toronto Maple Leafs trying to avoid elimination. They're down 3-0 to the Florida Panthers. Toronto, an early 1-0 lead in the second period as they look to extend that series back to Toronto for Game 5. It is a Wednesday night on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Let's talk Jaguars. Let's talk AFC South. And let's talk the AFC at large. Where exactly is Jacksonville among the great AFC teams coming into 2023? By the way, Denmark, because I'm thinking of it, let me mention this first. So last night and all day yesterday on 1010XL, really last week as well, Kyle Brandt of the NFL Network and his ridiculous list that he put out there of the AFC quarterbacks, and he had Trevor Lawrence among like the 4 or 5 worst quarterbacks in the AFC, had him in tier 6. It was ridiculous. So I did what any good sports radio host will do, and I reached out to my friends at the NFL Network. And it is my belief that Kyle Brandt personally got the information that a radio station in Jacksonville was looking to have him on. And look, I'm not going to attack the guy. I think it's worthy we have a conversation. I was going to have fun with Kyle Brandt about it. He seems like a pretty fun guy. Watching him on Good Morning Football, I actually think we've had him on a time or two over the last 6-7 years here on the radio station. But nevertheless, I reached out to him, and I will tell you that I do believe my inquiry got into the hands of some of the producers in New York, and I do believe that Kyle Brandt was asked about coming on a radio station in Jacksonville, to which I found out that he has decided to pass because it's, quote, not a good time for him to do this. So there you go. I asked Kyle Brandt to come on. I believe that he was notified that a radio station in Jacksonville wanted him to come on to talk about why he had Trevor Lawrence tier 6 in the AFC behind Jimmy Garoppolo, behind Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert and all these different quarterbacks. And he said, according to my guy in New York, that he has to pass on the interview request because it's not a great time. So there you go. Denmark, all you can do is try, right? I mean, you can't fault a guy for trying. Kyle Brandt, the invitation is still there. If there ever is a right time for you to come on, if you can ever take 7 or 8 minutes out of your busy schedule there in New York and you'd like to come on Hacker After Dark, we would certainly love to have you. A guy that did take time out of his schedule is my friend Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. We're going to talk Jaguars, AFC South, and more with Matt Verderam of SI. He is next. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Make your track bar adjustment on 1010XL.
He said he was a little bit free.
Sunday at Darlington. Brought to you by Famous Automotive Tire and Quick Lube. Servicing every customer like they're famous. On your NASCAR station. 1010XL.
Attention car buyers, are you noticing markups on vehicles on dealer lots? Well, come to Key Buick GMC, where we never have markups on our vehicles. Ask for Derek or Brian, where we have fair value pricing, no additional markups, as well as the only Buick GMC dealer with a lifetime powertrain warranty on all new Buicks and GMCs. That's only at Key Buick GMC, We are professional grade across from Tinseltown on the corner of South Side and Gate, or go to our website, KeyBuickGMC.com.
Live life to the fullest. You hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? It's Hayes Carlion with QC Kinetics. They are in the business of giving people back their quality of life and providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. Where is your joint pain? In your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them most. And best of all, you walk into the office and you walk right out after treatment. No surgery, no downtime, and patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like to you? Whatever it is, don't wait one more day. Get started today with a call to QC Kinetics for a complimentary consultation. Call them at 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522 with locations in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra.
Hey Jacksonville, this is Crystal, COO with Remedy Staffing. As employers, labor trends continue to keep us guessing. Is the job market strong? And what is worker availability going to look like? Well, February's BLS job report indicated that we have a hot job market and that Jacksonville's unemployment rate is 2.5%, 1% lower than our national average. So if you're interested in Workforce Solutions and how our team can help you, please call or text me at 904-329-9802.
Children under 5 die from drowning in Florida more than any other state. Together, we can reduce the risk of drowning. The YMCA has programs accessible to families that teach essential water safety skills. Face the water with confidence. Learn more at watersafetyflorida.org.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
Catch Mia's quick hits on the video and social channels of 1010XL, driven by Arlington Toyota.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Obviously, the summer temperatures are already here, and if you're like me, you want that oppressive Florida heat to stay outside the house. That's why I'm such a fan of Pella Windows and Doors. By now, we know that windows are the #1 way that heat gets in and the cold gets out. So when you're ready for the stylish design and energy efficiency that comes from Pella Windows and Doors, we invite you to visit their showroom on Phillips Highway next to Tesla, or find them online at PellaJacks.com.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Green Beret Charity Golf Tournament at the Golf Club of Southampton is May 12th. To learn more, search the Green Beret Golf Tournament at Southampton.
Join the Postal Service to help stamp out hunger in Northeast Florida. Just leave a non-perishable food donation in a bag by your mailbox Saturday, May 13th, and your letter carrier will do the rest.
The annual Wolfson Children's Hospital Bass Tournament is May 18th through the 20th. Register at wolfsonsbasstournament.com.
Help support the amazing work of Catholic Charities while you have a great day on the golf course at the Transforming Lives Golf Tournament at St. John's Country Club, May 12th. Get tickets at ccbstaugg.org.
Your child can register for Police Athletic League basketball, tackle football, or cheerleading at jackspalsports.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Houston, we do not have a problem. Houston's Meats is now carrying locally raised cattle from right here in Florida. Ground beef to steaks to even roasts, each cut is graded USDA choice and has been raised locally from birth to harvest. Houston's Meats at Main Street and 295.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Rubinsky. The physicians at Prime Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Prime Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NFL schedule will be coming out very shortly. In fact, some games are already out. We know the Jaguars are going to London twice, October 1st hosting Atlanta, October 8th as the visiting team against Buffalo. That's interesting. More on that in a moment. And the NFL draft in the rearview mirror as the Jaguar rookies come in for rookie minicamp beginning this Friday. Having said all that, let's welcome in my friend Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. Does a terrific job covering the National Football League, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Matt, how we doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Matt, we're good. It's a busy time of year, so thank you for the time. And let's start with the news of the day, I guess. A couple of games in London for the Jaguars. Boy, I think there's some ramifications to the Jaguars being the road team against Buffalo in London. I know some Bills fans aren't very happy about that. What was your reaction when you saw those games earlier today?
I mean, I think for Jacksonville, it's an advantage when you play the Bills. You're already over in London for the first week. Obviously, it's not ideal having to be there 2 weeks in a row, but at that point, you're adjusted to it. Your body clock's adjusted to it, and the Jaguars play over there every year. So I think they're more accustomed to going overseas than anybody. It's just part of their season, has been for what feels like about this point, a decade or so. So, I think you don't have to go to Buffalo, which is one of the toughest places to play. Instead, you get to play a neutral site game, which really is almost like a home game for Jacksonville based on its familiarity. And then, look, you got the Falcons. It's a home game. You don't like to burn a home game, but again, the Jags do that every year over there, and that's a game they ought to win. So I think overall, honestly, it's weird playing two games in England, but if you're going to do it, I actually think it shakes pretty well in terms of the way it lays out on the schedule.
No, I completely agree. You look at the home schedule, the worry was Cincinnati would be moved over there, San Francisco would be moved over there, maybe Baltimore, and none of those are. All of those are going to be in Jacksonville, and if you're going to lose a home game, which the Jaguars are obviously accustomed to, as you mentioned, Atlanta was probably the one to lose. So not only do they luck out there, but just reaction to Bills Mafia on Twitter today, that Bills-Jaguars game, Matt, I mean, that tiebreaker scenarios, there could be a lot on the line there. And for Buffalo not to have that home game, boy, Bills fans were not very happy about that this morning.
I got to tell you, I don't blame them in the sense of, if you look at the Bills' schedule, you go find me a harder schedule in the league than what the Bills play this year. I mean, Buffalo's schedule is just torture week in, week out. First of all, they have the 6 games in the AFC East, which even though New England's not great, it's always difficult with Belichick. Jets are much better. Dolphins are very good. They play Jacksonville. They play Cincinnati. They play Kansas City. They play the Chargers. They play the entire NFC East. I mean, you can't find a more difficult schedule than what Buffalo's dealing with. And so now they have the added difficulty of getting a home game not in their building against a very good Jacksonville team. And I think if Buffalo had gone over there and played a team that everybody thinks they beat by 20 points, okay, fine. It's not ideal. Fine. That's not the case. And as you point out, that could be a game that decides, who's a 2 seed, who's a 3 seed, whatever the case, maybe it was a 1 seed. It really, if you're the Bills, your schedule is already brutal. Now it's made even tougher by losing one of the most important home games you have on the slate.
Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Matt, let's talk about the Jaguars. The last time I had you on, I believe, was right before free agency. It was a very quiet free agent period for the Jaguars as far as bringing in folks. We know Jawan Taylor's gone, Arden Key's gone, among others, but the Calvin Ridley reinstatement, certainly a big deal for the Jaguars. Free agency speaking, Matt, what did you make of the Jaguar offseason?
I think you had the right word. It was quiet. But you expected it to be quiet. I went down my grades on the AFC South for Sports Illustrated, and I gave all season grades, and I think I gave Jacksonville a C, and it wasn't because it did anything bad. It just didn't really do much. Last offseason, they were so busy. I mean, the Jags were arguably the busiest team in the league last year. The Christian Kirk contract and Zay Jones and Olakun and on and on and on. When you spend like that 1 year, you're not going to do it again the next year, especially knowing that, not in the too distant future, Trevor Lawrence is going to have to get paid, and you've got to kind of balance your books and figure it out a little bit. I think right now, if you're Jacksonville, you're transitioning from the years of spending a ton of money in free agency, trying to fill a bunch of holes that maybe you had some missed draft picks, to now it's, look, you got a pretty good young team here, obviously led by Lawrence, but there are other really nice young pieces on the team. Now it becomes, got to draft well. If you draft well, everything else is going to fall into place. Look, like any team, you're going to lose a guy here and there, free agency, whatever the case may be. But I think for the Jags, it was just a quiet offseason. It wasn't bad. It wasn't necessarily a big step forward, but I think it was a necessary offseason to kind of just let everything settle. And now you believe in Lawrence, some of the younger players, Doug Peterson, to elevate what is already a good roster into a very good team.
Matt, with the departure of Jawan Taylor, the reported suspension coming for Cam Robinson, nothing official on that, although obviously it has not been refuted by anybody. I think that's important to take note of as well. You got Walker Little, and you draft Anton Harrison in the first round, number 27 overall. How much of a concern is that for you moving forward for the Jags?
It's a concern. This is where the schedule release, I think, a lot of times overrated because we already know who these teams are playing and where they're playing. It's just a matter of dates. This, I think, matters. Like, who do they play the first 6 weeks of the year? Like, let's say that suspension is 6 games. Who are they playing? Are they playing a bunch of teams that can't rush off the edge? Because if that's the case, I don't think it's that big of a concern. If they're playing a bunch of teams that can really get after the passer, then it's a problem. So, look, I think Walker Little has shown it. He's flashed. He can be a very good player. I know early on in his career, maybe a little bit inconsistent, but since I think he played well. Harrison's a guy he's a first-round pick for a reason. He's coming out of a college program that has churned out offensive linemen over the years. So I like the pick. I think he's a guy who could be a plug-and-play starter, and he's obviously going to have to be here with Robinson potentially being suspended. But is it a concern? Yes. I don't think it's over. And the other thing is Jacksonville last year, and I think it'll be the same this year, the same coaching staff, they get the ball out very quick. We're just going to see a lot of that, especially the first 6 weeks. You're just going to see a lot of that three-step and let it rip, a lot of ETN. I think Doug Peterson's a good enough coach. They'll scheme around that. They'll hide it, well enough that it won't sink their season or anything.
A couple of more from Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. You brought up a good point. We know the Falcons and the Bills are going to be in those first 6 games, depending on how long the Cam Robinson suspension is. We'll find out the rest tomorrow night at around 8 o'clock Eastern time. You look in the AFC South, Matt, 2 weeks ago at the draft, it was kind of one of the bigger AFC South days, if you will, in division history as 3 teams draft quarterbacks inside the top 35. C.J. Stroud to Houston, Anthony Richardson to Indianapolis, Will Levis to Tennessee. What did you make of that, and how quickly do you think those guys see the field?
Stroud, I think, is going to be a starter week 1. I'd be shocked if he's not. As far as Richardson, he's kind of the one that's interesting to me because they have Gardner Minshew. Minshew comes over from Philadelphia with Shane Steichen, who, of course, now is the first-year head coach there. He knows the system. I can see a world where Richardson doesn't start right away. I could also see a world where I think, Richardson comes out and he's gangbusters in preseason and he plays. Now, I will say this. I like Anthony Richardson a lot. I think he's going to be a really good young player. I think the Colts are going to struggle this year because he has less than 900 pass attempts between college and high school. I don't care who you are, how talented you are. That's like stepping out of your driveway and into the freeway. That is just such a jump. And that Colts team is not overly talented. So I think we'll see a lot of Richardson this year. I don't know if you've seen week 1, you might. But I think it's going to be a big learning curve for him. But I think he needs it. He's just going to have to get out there and play. He's going to have to deal with it a little bit. And I think Steichen's a good coach. I think he's going to do well, and he's got to protect him. Levis, next year, I think, is probably the target date. Tannehill's got 1 year left in his deal. However, if Tennessee's not good and it's like a 3-7 situation, I could see them saying, look, let's give the kid a third of the season, half the season, see what he's got. I do not think he's going to be starting early in the year barring injury. But if Tennessee goes south, then, I think there's a world where Levis gets in there and they get some reps and try to figure out if they need a quarterback or if they feel like they have their guy.
The Tennessee thing is puzzling because they brought in a lot of guys that we're not starters like Arden Key, but need maybe more reps, and Tennessee overpaid some of those guys to come in. But they lost a ton. Tannehill and Derrick Henry are on the last year of their contracts. I mean, are you surprised with how Tennessee handled this offseason?
A little, but at the same point, Rand Carthon's a first-year GM, and Mike Vrabel has basically tenure there. I mean, he's not going anywhere. So I think they're looking at this as a little bit of like, look, we got to rebuild this team. You know, they got rid of a lot of veteran guys, Taylor Lewan, but Dupree, Cunningham was another one, Bullock the kicker, another one. They moved on from quite a few veterans. I think they're looking at this as, listen, this team's kind of run its course. And they had a decent run. They went to an AFC Championship game, made the playoffs a few years, but it's over. I mean, Tannehill's at the end of his starting career, shall we say. Derrick Henry, I don't think there's a lot left in his life, maybe a year or two at the most. So I think it is time to turn the page. I think it's going to be a pretty tough year. I mean, look, I honestly think Jacksonville can win that division by 6 games. I really do. I think that division could be something where it's over by Halloween. The Jaguars should roll. And frankly, it's going to be really interesting because if you look at those other divisions, especially the AFC East, AFC North, those divisions are brutal. Like the Bengals, the Bills, those teams are going to lose games just by attrition. Jacksonville's got a real shot to really fight for a very high seed because I just don't think they're going to play a lot of teams that are going to challenge them, certainly in that division. And I think the Titans are in for a long year as they kind of start this rebuilding process.
Final moments, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. You led me right to it. I saw one of your columns on Sports Illustrated regarding the AFC South, and you just echoed it right there. You think the Jaguars have a relatively easy time of it. I guess the only thing, Matt, in covering this team and living in Jacksonville for the entirety of their existence, going back to 1995, that gives me a little pause is it's the Jaguars, right? I mean, I'm trying not to get too high. I think the fan base is right there with me because we've seen a lot of instances where things should go a certain way and they do not. But my gracious, I agree with you. On paper, it appears if the Jaguars don't win this division, dare I say it would be a failure of a season.
It'd be catastrophic. I mean, listen, I don't want to put the cart before the proverbial horse here with Jacksonville. I still think in the AFC, I still believe Kansas City and Cincinnati are the two best teams. I think those two teams are still the two that you look at and go, all right, that's going to be a challenge. And then you get into Miami and Buffalo. But I think Jacksonville to me, when were they most successful? You just talked about when they came into the league in 95. Well, it was with Brunell and Coughlin, right? And then all the pieces around those guys. But like in this league, if you got the coach and you got the quarterback, you've got a shot. And they've got both of those things. And in that division, nobody else does for sure. Now, obviously, a couple new head coaches, new quarterbacks, as we talked about. But Peterson and Lawrence, like that's at worst a top 10 combination in the league. I think it's higher than that. So when you look at them, they went in the playoffs last year. They won that crazy wild card game. They went to Arrowhead. Look, we all get it. Like Mahomes was beat up and all that. The game was close. Like Jacksonville did not go in there and get blown out and embarrassed. It was a real football game. Jaguars got real experience. I expect them to win the division. And I do think they're a team that could absolutely get back to the divisional round and be a threat to go further. Now, I think Jacksonville, it's a lot about the maturation of Lawrence. And I will say, and you mentioned right at the top, I think a big part of this, too, is Calvin Ridley. Like, if he comes in and he's really good, now that offense is an offense that becomes very, very difficult to deal with. So I like Jacksonville a lot. I think it's an 11-12 win team. I think it's a team that absolutely is going to roll in that division and should, be a thorn in the side of Cincinnati, Kansas City, and threaten them in January.
Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. Matt, 60 seconds, final thought. If there is to be a competitor in the South, who would be number 2 in your opinion right now? Is it Tennessee still?
It's got to be. I love Richardson in Indianapolis long term, but short term, I think that's going to be a learning curve. Houston, to me, is just too far away. Houston doesn't have enough juice, enough pieces. Tennessee, the one thing about them, they're well coached. That team is always going to be well coached. They know exactly who they are. They're good up front defensively. They run the ball. I think they're too limited offensively. I think the problem is just going to be they can't throw the ball. I think that's going to be the end of them. But if you said to me, is there a world where that team is 7-7 and they're winning games, 18-16? Yeah. So I think Tennessee would have to be the team I'd take.
Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. Matt, know you're busy, especially with the schedule coming out tomorrow. Thank you for taking time out, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Good work, partner.
Kind of like Sonny and Cher.
If you don't mind my saying, I don't like your attitude one bit.
I mean Mick and Keith.
Apologize.
They are The Drill.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Mornings on 1010XL.
I'm sorry, Chili.
The only thing better than a day at Jack's Beach is driving there in a new ride. And now is the time, because it's the Summer Starts Here sales event going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. It's over 350 premium pre-owned on the lot. All makes, all models, certified pre-owned, you name it, Arlington has it. You even get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. But this sale won't last long, so don't wait. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com today.
At Duck Duck Rooter, we do it all when it comes to septic systems. Full system installations, we install drain fields, septic tanks, sump pumps, perform full septic inspections.
Excuse me?
Yes?
A new septic system installation requires a permit. Do you handle the application and all the paperwork?
Yes, we do that too.
Whew!
For all septic services and installations, trust the Duck.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Summer is here, so while you're at the beach or on your bike, head on down to Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, where you'll find the absolute freshest seafood in all of the 904. The biggest shrimp, the saltiest oysters, the freshest fish, all here at our newly renovated restaurant in Neptune Beach. Fresh seafood delivered daily by Safe Harbor, straight from the boat to your plate. Unique oyster specials daily, along with mixed cocktails from the bar. Come enjoy this beach vibe. Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, locally owned by Safe Harbor Seafood.
I'm Dr. Mitchell Yass, the most unknown world-renowned expert on pain elimination. That's right, elimination. If you've tried medications, injections, physical therapy, chiropractic, even surgery, and still experience pain, then say yes to Yass. I have successfully used the Yass method for over 30 years to help thousands reclaim their lives. To learn more, call me at 904-906-YASS. Let's end your pain and say yes to Yass.
Denny Thompson here. Tyson Sound and Security is hiring salespeople right now. If you want to sell new tech security cameras or home automation, Tyson Sound and Security is looking for you. Tyson Sound and Security is hiring for sales positions, and they will train you to be successful. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call 762-1000. That's 762-1000. Hiring for sales positions right now. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call 762-1000. Equal opportunity employer.
Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimates.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
1010XL would love to know what you like. Take the listener survey to tell us about you. You could win a Trevor Lawrence rookie football card or the chance to see Matchbox 20 at Daly's Place. Take the listener survey to tell us what you like at 1010XL.com.
Hicken here again for Zero Res. I wonder what my wife wants for Mother's Day, but every time I ask her, she just wants me to have those cleaning freaks at Zero Res come and clean tile and grout again. She just loves how good it makes her feel. And you know Zero Res has a deal on tile cleaning for my listeners as well. From now until Mother's Day, get $50 off your tile and grout cleaning, or $50 off cleaning and sealing your granite countertops, or you can get both. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel Heilman from the brand new Fourscore Golf Tavern. We do elevated food, drinks, and golf simulator fun. If you're looking for a delicious meal or maybe a spot for a client, we have lunch specials every day. Need to entertain a few people from out of town? Easy. Just reserve one of our 4 simulator bays. Lunch service starts at 11 a.m. daily. Located in San Marcos Square, We'll see you at lunch at Fourscore Golf Tavern.
Business owners know Andy's Automotive and Truck Services for routine fleet maintenance or emergency repairs. Andy's offers after-hours and mobile service to minimize downtime and keep your fleet on the road. Visit andysats.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguar draft in the rearview mirror. This Friday, the Jaguar rookies come in for rookie mini camp, and then we are inside of 2 weeks until the OTA season begins here in the city of Jacksonville. With that, let me bring in one of our draft guys here on 1010XL, my friend Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. He has been so gracious with his time all draft season long, and he joins us once again here on 1010XL. Ryan, how we doing, bud?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on as always, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, always thank you for the time. Know you've been very, very busy. And all right, let's just kind of start at the top before we talk about every pick individually. 13 draft selections by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ryan, I was stunned that they made every selection that they did. That seems like a lot of draft picks. What was your thought in totality about what the Jaguars did?
Yeah, I'm glad that they did, Ryan. I really am. I just think you look at the Jaguars roster, and in years past, obviously you're working your way up to not just relevancy, but you're working your way up towards being contenders and obviously the leaders in the AFC South for not just 2022, 2023, and beyond. And you added players on offense, you added players on defense, guys that can come in and cut their teeth on special teams, and guys as well. You look at how Doug Peterson built those rosters in Philadelphia. As far as just guys that come in and compete, doesn't matter if you got young guys producing at a certain position, you got to get guys that come in and compete. And I know you look at these overall classes, some teams had 7 picks or just 8 picks or even fewer for some, including like the 49ers. But you look at all 13 picks, and when I look at this and you kind of look at draft grades, and a lot of those are knee-jerk reactions because as you move into rounds 5, round 6, round 7, a lot of these guys, bottom line, Ryan, they just don't know these players. Guys like Christian Braswell, guys like Yasir Abdullah, guys like Eric Hallett from Pittsburgh are guys that I liked a lot, actually, during this process. And I think there's someone that come in and compete for snaps. So I'm glad the Jaguars made all of their picks. They added talent on both sides of the ball, and you can never have enough guys that can come in and have that narrative of where I'm going to compete, and snaps are always earned. They're never given.
Ryan, let's start looking at these guys individually. And I agree, of the 13 picks, I don't think necessarily any except Anton Harrison, who we'll get to here in a moment, is going to be relied on their rookie year. I think this was a draft about building depth on the roster. Having said that, let's get to Harrison. The news comes out, the reported news about Cam Robinson's impending suspension, a day or two before the draft. We know Jawan Taylor left in free agency, thus the Jaguars take the big offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. Your thoughts on Harrison during the draft process and how you feel he will now fit here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, the NFL is they're suckers for those OU tackles. There's seemingly 1 or 2 that comes in every single year. But you know when you got a guy coming out of Norman, Oklahoma, that you're going to get a guy with great feet, guy that's excellent in pass pro. Now, he wasn't down in Oklahoma, blocking for a Kyler Murray or a Baker Mayfield. He was down there blocking for Dylan Gabriel last year. But you look at what Anton's going to offer, potentially on the left side with Walker Little on the right side. I know we've had our discussions about what Walker could produce. But with Cam, look, bottom line, you got to have somebody in the building that can keep Trevor Lawrence upright. It doesn't matter if you're Trevor Lawrence or you're one of these unicorns at quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, which I know Jaguars fans are obviously familiar with. But you got to keep him upright. You got to keep him up looking towards the secondary and not the sky. And I think you look at Anton playing opposite of Wanye Morris, who went to Kansas City on day 2 this past year. But I like his game a lot. I think there's some technical deficiencies there as far as his ability to play in the north-south plane in the run game, leading the way for guys like Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby, who we will get to. But I really do like Anton's game, because, look, you don't know how long Cam's going to be out. Is it going to be 6 games? Is it going to be a year? And you have to have somebody that will protect Trevor's blindside immediately. So I love the pick. I really do. He's going to someone that is going to come in and produce, I think, right away. He's a ball of clay still, where I think his best football is down the road. I really like the pick to round out that first round.
Do you think he's more going to be a left tackle in the league as opposed to right tackle? Because, as you mentioned, the thought is he going to be the right tackle with Walker being the left? They're going to have to figure that out pretty quick.
Yeah, it's tough always to look at these younger tackles coming in the league, because it is easier said than done switching from the left side to the right side to the left side. For me, I'm going to keep Anton at left tackle just because I think he's much more of an athletic blocker than Walker is in space. And I think you look at that blind side, I don't want Trevor Lawrence getting rocked. I really don't. I need him to stay upright. I need him to be able to target his guys on the outside. You added a talent like Brenton Strange in the tight ends room, who I've really liked in this pre-draft process. So for me, if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm trying Anton out at left tackle.
Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. You mentioned Brenton Strange. Ryan, I was on the air Friday night of the draft. Former Dallas Cowboy head coach Dave Campo was in studio with me. Now, to Campo's credit, he had Brenton Strange written down on one of his cue cards. When the Jaguars made that pick, I did a double take because I had heard his name like once or twice, but I didn't know anything about Brenton Strange. That was a week and a half ago. I've since learned a lot, watching tape, talking to people in Happy Valley, etc. But to say that I wasn't surprised the Jaguars went with him in the second round would be a lie. I was shocked, quite frankly. What was your opinion of the pick in round number 2?
Yeah, round 2 was a little high for me. I thought he was a fringe back-end top 100 player on my board. But for me, I just – the tight end position has changed so much, especially these last 5 to 7 years, to where you have to have matchup nightmares. We saw what Evan Ingram was for this offense last year. Obviously, he's back. And now you get a guy in Brenton Strange that's young. He was in a deep tight ends room at Penn State, transfers in from West Virginia, was a 4-star recruit in high school, so he's highly touted. He's not going to run 4.4, 4.5 in the tight ends room. 4'7", bigger kid. He can stick his hand in the dirt as a Y. He can flex out in space as an F. I just like the versatility that's going to offer this offense with young weapons and fresh legs in abundance for Trevor Lawrence, because he's not only going to be a sure set of hands in that intermediate portions of the offense. I think he's going to be a red zone threat right away, not just because he's a bigger body. I think when we pigeonhole these bigger guys into red zone threats right away. I like guys that can separate over linebackers or slower safeties, and Brenton can do that. And again, I mentioned there was a deep tight ends room at Penn State. Theo Johnson really holstered a lot of the attention there. There's some young bodies in Happy Valley as well. But yeah, round 2 was a little high for me, but he rose a ton on teams' board as we move through this pre-draft process, and I think he's going to be successful early in Jacksonville.
We know how much Doug Peterson likes a 2 tight end set. Right. How do you feel Brenton Strange's game will mesh with Evan Ingram?
I think it'll mesh extremely well. I think they're athletes that do similar things. I don't think he's the straight line seam stretching athlete that Evan Ingram is and was coming out of Ole Miss, and obviously what you saw his ability to do in New York at times. But I think you'll play off of him extremely well. He's not going to be tight end 1. He's not going to come in and be a guy that's going to have a high target share. He's going to be that tight end 2, and that 12 personnel is going to ask to stick his face in as a blocker. He's not going to be a Darnell Washington type of blocker or a kid that's going to come out next year, Brevin Spanford at Minnesota, that's going to dominate 5-tech defensive linemen. But he wins with technique. He wins with leverage as a blocker, and then he can get out in those flat areas and the intermediate areas of the offense and feed off of Evan Ingram and really play off each other well and take eyes off of the guys that are on the outside in Zay Jones and, of course, Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk.
Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network reviewing the Jaguar draft class. Of course, the Jaguar rookies come in this Friday to begin rookie minicamp. To round 3 we go, Ryan, and Tank Bigsby. You brought him up earlier. Talking to people out at Auburn, they almost think Tank Bigsby was underutilized at Auburn. Even though he compiled some pretty good numbers, they didn't feel he had the football in his hands enough in the conversations that I've had over the last week or so. Your thoughts on Bigsby coming to Jacksonville in round 3?
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see Tank get more work. And sometimes we look around college football and you have these workhouse backs. Or you look at Chase Brown and what he did for Illinois, Blake Corum in Michigan. But the bottom line is that I just like how he's going to compete with Travis Etienne. I really do. I think all of Jacksonville and you as well and myself, love what Travis offers, not just as an early down back. It can pound you in the tackles and then scoot outside, jump cut outside the safety and make you miss and you look silly on tape and take it the distance. But Tank can do those similar things. I think his ability in space is something that I want to see him improve upon. He's going to stick and face in pass pro. And we don't live in a day and age now, unless you're a Derrick Henry or even a Nick Chubb, who also, fed off of Kareem Hunt in Cleveland. These one-man backfields just really are no longer. You have to have complementary talents to keep guys fresh and guys that not just wear a multitude of hats, but wear them well. And I think Tank will do that. He's coming from SEC experience, not a big, overwhelmingly physical back, but he's got the body armor to have great contact balance, again, run downhill and put that foot in the ground and sneak to the outside if you need him to. So, again, he's going to come in. Travis Etienne's going to see him in camp and say, hey, this guy's going to push me. And that's what you need inside a roster that is young, but there's also going to be expectations moving into 2023.
And look, I want to be careful with this comparison, but in talking to some folks out at Auburn, we cover the Florida Gators here in the city of Jacksonville, Ryan, and they're saying Tank Bigsby, a very violent runner, a north-south downhill runner, maybe underutilized at Auburn, kind of led me back to Dameon Pierce, right, at Florida. A guy, a violent runner, but maybe didn't get the ball enough, or he certainly didn't get the ball enough. Would that be an NFL comp potentially for Tank Bigsby, a Dameon Pierce type running back?
I like Dameon Pierce coming out of Florida. As far as the underrated usage, I think in my opinion, that would be tangible as far as that comparison. I know they both have the bigger bodies, but Dameon ran with a certain violence that I haven't seen in this class, and I haven't seen that yet from Tank. I mean, again, he's not 5'8", not 5'9". The guy's about 5'11", 6 foot, over 205 pounds. But Dameon's got a different bulk to him and runs with a really different type of violence to his game that I just haven't seen out of Tank just yet. So I would hold on that comparison just for right now. But I would even say that he reminds me a little bit of a smaller version of a Brian Robinson coming out of Alabama, just for his ability to not just be a dominant down north-south runner where he's not constantly running over people, but also has that sneaky juice outside the tackles to really put that foot in the ground and accelerate the third, fourth gear and sneak past the second level.
Couple of more for Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. Ryan, I remember I had you on when you had a sit-down interview with Ventrell Miller. Obviously, we did not know at the time that a few months later, Ventrell Miller would then be a Jacksonville Jaguar. A lot of conversation about that pick. A lot of people here are happy about it that are Gator fans. If you're not a Gator fan in Jacksonville, you were scratching your head about round 4. Where were you, in your opinion, on the Jaguars taking Ventrell Miller in the 4th round?
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a reach as well. I really do like Ventrell. I do. He's a throwback style of ball player. I mean, this was 10 years ago. We were drafting late 2000s, early 2010s. I mean, he's a guy that probably goes even a little higher than he does now, maybe even late round 2 type of player. He lived in the north-south plane. You guys know that. You watched him at Gainesville and at Florida. But I think you look at this Jacksonville depth chart at the second level, right? Foley Olakun, drafted Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma last year. Now you get Ventrell to where he most likely will live on those early downs, providing that physical pop. He has to improve in coverage. I think that's also, Ryan, is a little bit of an underrated part of his game. I think he isn't great. He's not an elite mover in space. Again, I mentioned he is that throwback style of linebacker that where you really just don't see too many of them nowadays. But he's someone obviously coming off that injury and the surgery that he had over the winter. But he's got sneaky speed, I think, watching him on tape and watching him work throughout this pre-draft process to where he's going to challenge guys like Chad Muma, Devin Lloyd, Foye Olakun for snaps. He was an early day 3 pick. He's going to have some expectations coming in. Is he going to have to cut his teeth on special teams a little bit? Possibly. But I think he's able to do that. So round 4, round 5 is where I had him on my board. I'm glad they took him. More competition at the second level. And bottom line, Ryan, you look at the top defenses across football, you have to have linebackers that are studs within the lungs of your defense. And I think you have, right, a foundation of Muma, Lloyd, and Olakun. And now you're starting to build that depth that we talked about to where you can consistently rotate guys in and not have any hiccups.
Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. Ryan, we don't have time to get to everybody. I want to go rapid fire. 2 guys that, at least in the conversations I've had, people were surprised they fell to the Jaguars where they did. Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M, Parker Washington out of Penn State. Your thoughts on those 2 prospects?
Yeah, Antonio is that modern safety. Come down, play in the box, and also can rotate and play some high for you and give you some exotic looks at the roof. I know I've come on in months prior and said, Jaguars got to prioritize a corner. They really didn't do that. Obviously, they grabbed Braswell to add into that room and grabbed Eric Hallett more of that safety role. But when you look at Antonio Johnson, this was a guy that was safety one on some boards as we moved throughout the fall and in the winter. Obviously, SEC experience, big, physical, athletic safety. That thing's going to have a heck of a role moving into year one. And I was extremely surprised he was there in the 5th round. I mean, if you asked me that, who was going to go higher? Was it Brenton Strange, Ventrell Miller, or Antonio Johnson? And if this was February, I would have said Antonio Johnson. I would have bet you a substantial amount of money, but he didn't. And that's how the NFL works sometimes. And guys slip for weird reasons. We saw a secondary player in Tariq Woolen from UTSA slip to the 5th round last year, go to Seattle, have a hell of a year. I think Antonio Johnson is going to be a heck of a value addition. He's going to outplay his contract immediately. Really like his game. And then with Parker Washington, Penn State just pumps out receivers almost every single year. We know Jahan Dotson last year, the season he had in Washington, and then they have a guy like Mitchell Tinsley, who's also going to compete as the UDFA for Washington this year. Then you have Parker Washington that was really, I think, underrated in this process, his ability to separate over the middle of the field. And he plays like he's 6'4", like he's 6'5", over the middle portions of the offense. I really like his hands. I like his physicality as a blocker as well. If you're not a day one, early day two pick as a receiver and you're a wide receiver one, you're going to have to block your tail off on the outside or at least compete and show your ability to do so. So Parker Washington, I saw that at Happy Valley. It's a little bit of a struggle with Sean Clifford leading the offense there at Penn State. But I think he's someone with Trevor Lawrence, where Trevor's now got his feet wet. He's getting comfortable in the pocket. Everything is slowing down for him. Have another sure set of hands in the intermediate areas of the offense and some of the knuckles stretch that roof of the defense. I think Parker Washington's going to have a nice fit in Jacksonville.
Yeah, 146 catches in his career there in Happy Valley for Penn State. Ryan, final question. Lacey from Oklahoma State, Abdullah from Louisville. We know the Jaguars lost Arden Key. DeJuan Smoot still unsigned, but he had an Achilles injury in December, so who knows what you could really expect from him if he comes back. With the additions of Lacey and Abdullah, both relatively high picks in the draft, are the Jaguars, in your opinion, attempting to replace the likes of Key and Smoot with those two rookies?
I think so. I think more so replacing Smoot with Lacey. I mean, this is a guy that was down at the Senior Bowl, 275 pounds. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to find his niche. I don't know if he has the flexibility and the pop to rush consistently at 5 tech outside the tackle. So I think he's going to work inside that 4-eye, a line right over the guard, the tackle, or slide inside of that 3 tech a little bit. But that's that versatility that Dwayne offered as well. Not as thick and as strong coming out of school that Dwayne was. But I think Tyler's, another young set of legs within that front 7 that I like. And again, I enjoyed watching down at the Senior Bowl, to where if everything clicks for him, I think he can be an impactful young man. I really do. And I'm not expecting 6-7 sacks from the interior, a lot of TFLs, double digit those, and tons of quarterback pressures, but setting the edge for guys like Roy Robinson Harris. And obviously you have Josh Allen coming off the edge, and you got Folorunso Fatukasi, who I think someone is a sneaky player in this front 7. I like Tyler Lacey. And then with the Yasir Abdullah from Louisville, Ryan, he was one of the more interesting case studies for me in this class, because last year we watched Perrion Winfrey at Oklahoma. He played defensive tackle, but he was extremely just used in the wrong fashion in the scheme in Oklahoma. I look at Louisville, and Yasir Abdullah's built like a safety, built like a linebacker, and he lived at 5 tech, whether he had his hand in the dirt or lived outside the tackle in a 2-point stance. I think he can do a multiplicity of things for a defense, and really it's just finding that niche. But we're in 2023. We talk about it with the NBA as far as positionless basketball. You look at the NFL now, and you got to get guys that can cover, guys that can rush the passer, guys that can blitz as well, guys that can find their landmarks in coverage. There's so many things that you ask from guys that play that first and second level and roam back and forth, to where you're going to ask them to do those different things in Doug Peterson's defense. And I mentioned at the second level, as far as guys that you have with Ventrell Miller and Olakun, Muma, and Lloyd, Yasir Abdullah did some similar things for the Louisville Cardinals. I just don't know where right now, Ryan, I'm going to slot Yasir Abdullah. I don't know if he's a 5 tech. I don't know if he's a linebacker. Is he a box safety? We will see these next few years, because I'm really interested to see where he aligns, because he did a lot of different things for the Louisville defense.
There's a lot of reasons to be excited for rookie minicamp and preseason here in Jacksonville. There's going to be so many guys on the field that we've never seen in Jaguar uniforms. Again, 13 draft picks, another 10 or so undrafted free agents all will come to Jacksonville this weekend as rookie minicamp gets underway. Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. Ryan, again, man, you've been so gracious with your time the entire draft season. I know guys like you have already moved on to 2024, right? You're already watching the tape for next year. It'll be draft season again before we know it. Thank you as always, my friend, and we'll be talking as the season approaches.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan.
She's here? Where? Where is she? Singing along to every word at the top of her lungs.
And then what does that have to do with anything?
It has everything to do with anything.
Lauren Brooks.
I'm just getting started.
Weekday afternoons on 1010XL.
Gosh, you're an upbeat lady.
We've been telling you for almost a year about Nathan's Family Chiropractic and the 100-Year Lifestyle Network. If chronic back or joint pain is keeping you down, don't listen to me. Listen to what Jacksonville is saying about Dr. Alan Nathans.
The stem cell treatment took the pain away.
Changed my life. It's awesome.
Your body just works better when it's aligned. We're believers.
His no-needle regenerative protocols are giving people their lives back. Get yours back, too. Go to the pro in the know. Don't do another cortisone injection. He's one of us helping all of us for the past 25 years. For more info, drnathans.com.
People ask me, how do I get into broadcasting? They'll say something like, I love sports radio, but I don't know where to start. How do I get experience if no one will give me a chance? Well, 1010XL is partnering with the Broadcasters and Sportscasters Mentoring Group to offer on-air broadcast training to a select few. To find out how you could be mentored by someone from 1010XL, go to getintobroadcasting.com. Getintobroadcasting.com.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. And for unlimited time, your consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 904-664-8217.
E.T. here, and y'all know how much I like my brown water, but I ain't gonna lie, it gives me headaches sometimes. So my alternative is Brackish Vodka. This gluten-free alternative to Tito's is 100% local, and all monies stays right here in Duval. Not only does Brackish Vodka make you feel good, but when you support Brackish Vodka, you're also helping local charities. Try it side by side with your favorite vodka, and you will taste and smell how natural Brackish Vodka really is. And when you do, remember who sent you. Come on, somebody.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather starting to turn for the better, look ahead. Get that backyard ready for spring with a new screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are best in the business. If you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Get your news and notes from the swamp.
Alligators ornery cause they got all them teeth.
I'm Taylor Dahl, and I'll bring you the Gator Report to keep you connected to Gainesville.
Wow. Brought to you by Darley's Plumbing, where quality counts on 1010XL.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Country's hottest rising star, Riley Green, live.
There was this girl, drink in her hand, shoot me.
July 6th, St. Augustine Amphitheater. Riley Green, with special guests Corey Smith and Channing Wilson. On sale Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Riley Green, live in concert.
This is Dr. Barbara Rappaport, and I have the perfect Mother's Day gift for all the moms, grandmas, wifeys, and aunties in your life. A personalized gift from The Aesthetic Center off Southside and JTB. Help the beautiful ladies in your life look and feel their best with our wide variety of face and body treatments. Call or text us today and ask about our Mother's Day specials, 808-2455, or book her appointment online at jacksaestheticcenter.com.
Hacker here, and you know that I'm a sausage guy. So let me tell you about the Sausage Dudes sausage. The Sausage Dudes use quality pork and carefully sourced spices to make the best sausage I've ever had. They have 4 outstanding flavors, including Polish, Hungarian, beer bratwurst with cheddar and jalapeno, and my favorite, the Italian. You can pick up the Sausage Dudes sausage at Publix locations all throughout Jacksonville. So take it from me and head to Publix today to pick up the Sausage Dudes sausage.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, presented by FIS, takes the field this season at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark as the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. Tickets start at just $5, fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids run the bases after Sunday games. Call 358-2846 or jackshrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Your quick and easy solution for paying the lowest price on car insurance is Estrella Insurance. E to the T here, and start saving the big bucks and pay less today. Call 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE and see for yourself. That's 1-800-CAR-INSURANCE or visit estrellainsurance.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. It's Hacker After Dark.
Back
on
here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, the big news of the day, the Jaguars, not 1 but 2 games over in London. They'll be the home team against Atlanta. They'll be the road team against Buffalo. That's interesting. And let's also take a look back on the offseason that has been. Of course, the Jaguars rookies come in for rookie minicamp beginning on Friday. Having said all that, my friend Gilbert Manzano of Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback, he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Gilbert, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. You know, we got the NFL schedule coming out. I know the Jaguars know a couple of their games, but for tomorrow on Thursday, we have the full slate, and I'm ready for that because then that really means we're in the off season and maybe a little break on the horizon for me.
Yeah, I imagine. Boy, I tell you, the NFL calendar, Gilbert, for a guy like you now who covers it nationally, I mean, we go right from the playoffs, right to the combine and free agency, the draft, and now the schedule. Roger Goodell does it right for the fan base, but it does not leave a lot of time to get away for a little bit, does it not?
No, not really. It's kind of like a 10-month season. Like maybe like June and July, you get some time off, and then by the time you're relaxing on the beach, you realize, oh, training camp has started in the middle of July, and then there's a camp tour, which I'm excited to do a camp tour this year for Sports Illustrated. But yeah, for the when you're a beat reporter and you're covering one team, there's times where the team is maybe losing too much. You're thinking, okay, you know what? You get a vacation in January, but when you're covering it nationally, you got to wait for the playoffs, the Super Bowl, and then, the combine, free agency, and all that. So it definitely takes up most of the year.
It's great. We love it. No question about it. All right, Gilbert, let's talk about the Jaguars. Let's go back to the start of free agency. We know Jawan Taylor's gone. Arden Key is gone. They were not very active in free agency. I guess the one positive thing that really happened was obviously the reinstatement of Calvin Ridley. When you look at the free agent portion of the Jaguars offseason, Gilbert, how would you put it in totality? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it kind of feels like, last year was a plan to build, for the future. And I think everybody was saying the Jaguars were a year ahead. And I think the plan was to, develop the group they started last year and just see where it takes them. But to make it to a divisional round, the playoffs, put up a good fight against the Chiefs, win that epic comeback against the Chargers in the wild card in Jacksonville for the fans. I'm sure that was amazing to see. I was watching that at home, and it was cool to see Duval celebrate there. But it felt like last year was, what they started. And when you spend a lot of money in free agency, and I think I mentioned this, but I spoke to Tony Khan at the Super Bowl, and I'm like, you got to take the victory lap. People were criticizing the money that you guys spent. With Balky taking over, and people were critical of the Christian Kirk deal. So I know that's been like a while now, but that free agency really set them up for that magical season they just had. They're just a year early. It's always better to be early than late. So it was quiet, and then when you spend so much money, and then you got to set up money for the future quarterback and Trevor Lawrence. you can't keep everybody. So Jawan Taylor was a loss there. I'm a little concerned about that, but overall, they can still compete, and you want to get better every single year. It feels like they missed out on opportunities to get a little better to compete with the Bengals and the Chiefs. I think that they're up there with the Bills. I feel like, but to get that next level, there was something missing. But I get why they had to kind of keep out of the race this year because of the salary cap and stuff like that.
You look at Calvin Ridley almost as the big free agent addition, even though he was a trade deadline acquisition last year. Again, Gilbert Manzano of Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback here with us. Gilbert, how does Calvin Ridley fit in to what this offense is going to do with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, of course, Travis Etienne, and then Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I think perfectly, and I think everybody forgets about the Calvin Ridley trade because I think it happened during the season and he was suspended for a year, and you forgot about him as a talented wide receiver, and now you get I think a legit number one wide receiver. And I forgot what he said. I think there was something that he had a quote saying like he had, with an injury he could go for 1,700 yards. I forget the quote, but there was something that stood out to me.
Yeah, he said he was a 1,400-yard receiver with a broken foot.
That's
Imagine what he
was.
could do if he's healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a very talented wide receiver. I know he's never really put it together in Atlanta, and then he had the 1 year off, but he's definitely talented. He's a lot of flashes. Now imagine with Trevor Lawrence and what he's done, such a massive step in year two, and like I mentioned, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Ingram is back to the tight end. They kept him, so keeping guys too is part of the offseason, retaining guys, and I think he got the franchise tag actually for a tight end. So you can't keep everybody, but the ones that you keep are the ones in your core. And Evan Ingram stood out, and then you bring in Calvin Ridley, and when I say things like I think they might be better than the Bills or Jaguars because they have Calvin Ridley. I'm unsure about that low with the Bengals and the Chiefs because they're far ahead, but you got to have some confidence. So the way the Jaguars took it to the Chiefs and Arrowhead, I know it was a clunky game and there was missed opportunities, but it was an Arrowhead, and you got to make them sweat a little bit. So and now imagine Calvin Ridley. And I think I was joking around like because Calvin Ridley is going to wear number 0. Imagine him wearing 0 at Arrowhead Stadium, having a game-winning touchdown, just call him Sub-Zero, and perfect number there in freezing conditions in January. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, Jaguars, Chiefs, but really definitely makes a big difference, and that's why it was a little quiet for the Jaguars this year.
13 draft picks for the Jaguars, a lot of depth, a lot of guys that'll compete on the back end of the roster, although their first-round pick looks like he's going to have to come in and play right away, and that's Anton Harrison, the big tackle out of Oklahoma, with the reported suspension of Cam Robinson approaching, Jawan Taylor's departure. It looks like Gilbert, Walker Little, and Anton Harrison, potentially your two starting offensive tackles on opening day. Your thought there, and does that give you any trepidation when thinking about the Jaguars' chances in 2023?
Yeah, it's a little concerning. You always want to have a talented offensive line, and the ones that make it work, are the mobile quarterbacks to kind of defer from the shaky offensive line. And we've seen Trevor Lawrence be okay away from the pocket. That's not what he truly is. He's a great pocket passer, but he can definitely move around and get your first down. So I think he'll be okay. You don't want him running around for his life every single play. But I think it was smart to go for Anton Harrison. Sometimes I knock teams for going for needs and not getting the best player available. But if the Jaguars are in a good position with a good roster, okay, you know what? You got to fill that glaring hole there left by Jawan Taylor, and I know injuries occur too. But so Anton Harrison's going to help out, and I know this is always kind of a silly thing to kind of keep track of players that do well from a program. But Oklahoma does produce very talented tackles, so we'll see what Harrison does there. And again, I'm not too worried about it. But they even got some good guys in the draft that can help out. Trevor Lawrence has weapons. It's Brenton Strange, the tight end from Penn State, Tank Bigsby, the running back from Auburn with Etienne. So, you can always scheme around issues with the line, but it does make life better if the line actually does something and produces.
A couple of more for Gilbert Manzano of Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback. He's here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Gilbert, earlier today, the Jaguars were announced to play 2 games in London. And before Jaguar fans flipped out, I made sure to tell them very quickly this morning, one's going to be a, quote, home game. The other is going to be a road game. And I got to tell you, Gilbert, and tell me what you think. I think the Jaguars got very, very lucky, fortunate. The NFL did them a solid. You look at the Jaguar home schedule, you could argue Atlanta was the most boring, I guess, terminology, of the home games. That's going to be in London now. They get to keep Kansas City, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Baltimore, the 3 division games, all in Jacksonville. And you could argue the toughest road game for the Jaguars would have been going to Buffalo, and they now play them in London. And I saw Bills fans this morning not all that happy about that decision. So I think Jacksonville, all things considered, fared out pretty well here.
Yeah, it's not a bad approach, and I know that the Khan family, likes to play these games in the UK, and obviously they own maybe one soccer team. I don't know about a couple. I know that they're well invested over there, but and they like to go there. But when you have such a uprising winning franchise like what they displayed last year, you want to have more home games. I get why Jaguars were fans were concerned about that, but yeah, you're right. Maybe the Falcons one was the best one out of the bunch. I know maybe they're talented too. They got Bijan Robinson, but you don't have that quarterback attraction there with Atlanta, so that works out. And then yeah, you avoid a road game in Buffalo. I don't know about hours and time and on a flight, but I would say they're somewhat similar from Buffalo to London there. So you do that and you get 2 games in London, and you build more of that fan base there. But I get the concern from Jaguars fans in Jacksonville because it is a good team and you want most of the games there and things like that. But overall, I think that they had a good approach and made everybody happy for the most part.
When I saw Miami and Kansas City in London, and the Cowboys game was going to be at Arrowhead, and actually that might be in Germany, but it's in Europe, and that game was going to be at Arrowhead, the Tyreek Hill homecoming game. That's now across the pond. And then like Baltimore, Tennessee, another really good one. No, not in Nashville. That's going to be in Europe. I mean, the Europe got to be very happy, right? I mean, these 5 games, there's some really, really good matchups that were announced today.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing you don't get the Tyreek Hill comeback at Arrowhead Stadium, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of Chiefs fans making the trip to Germany to I don't know, either boo or cheer him on. He had a great career there in Kansas City. I don't get why you would boo him, but it could be a good little matchup there. So. Yeah, I wouldn't complain if I'm the Euro fans because Chiefs Dolphins should be really good. I think you mentioned it was Ravens Titans too as well. So I don't know about the Titans yet, but you get Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham over there, and who knows? Maybe Will Levis is making his debut for that game, and it'll add some intrigue to it. So I do like what the NFL is doing, try to expand global, but it's always tricky, making people happy with the home games, road games, and then are you giving too much of the best stuff? And sending it to overseas because I remember there was that one chaotic or that one game that was matching up to be a good one, the Rams, Chiefs in Mexico City. It did not work out, so it ended up being at the Coliseum in LA. But people were always complaining, why are you going to send the best game out there to overseas? So you can't make anybody happy nowadays, I feel like.
Final moments here with Gilbert Manzano of Sports Illustrated. All right, Gilbert, you and I have talked many times over the last calendar year, so I go back to Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, the Jaguars were 4-8. It was the same old, and all of a sudden they rattled off 6 in a row, made that run, and gave Kansas City everything they wanted in the divisional round. You combine that with what's going on in the division now, brand new quarterback and head coach in Houston, brand new quarterbacks and head coach in Indianapolis. Tennessee, I don't even really know what they're doing, if they're rebuilding, retooling, whatever. Gilbert, it's amazing. From 4-8 on Thanksgiving to here we are in the middle of May. I mean, the Jaguars are the overwhelming favorite in this division, are they not?
Yeah, and they seem to be like the grizzly veterans out there, the most experienced, and they're still a young team. So to think about 3 rookie quarterbacks in the division, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson. We don't know about Levis just yet because of the Ryan Tannehill dynamic there. Who knows? Maybe they'll trade him, I guess the rumor is now that maybe Tannehill goes to the Falcons there, so we'll see about that one. But yeah, it's a very young and experienced roster, and I was actually working on my the NFC South report card, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is the worst division of football anymore, NFC South, because it's very it's a mismatch over there for the Jaguars and AFC South. So that might be the new one there take over as the worst division in the NFL. So, but who knows? Maybe there's always one rookie quarterback that just surprises people and just leads a team to the postseason. Maybe it might be Bryce Young. So I don't know if it will be these three guys in the AFC South. So, but even the Jaguars, you're probably thinking, okay, this is a nice little cushion here. But man, you want to be tested a little bit, and we'll see if any of these teams give them a fight there, because the Jaguars have bigger plans this year, and you can't go into the season not being tested. But they have a good schedule, the Jaguars, and we'll see how they do it. But sometimes when you're the top dog and nobody's chasing you, that's when you let up and you kind of have a letdown at the worst time possible.
Hey, Gilbert, we're out of time, man. About 60 seconds. Final question. You mentioned earlier Kansas City, Cincinnati, probably your class of the AFC right now. Is Jacksonville, in your opinion, right underneath that? Would you have them probably third or fourth in the conference?
Yeah, it's a very loaded AFC, because you have the Dolphins, you have the Bills, you have the Jets, and I think the Jaguars are still there. Maybe people are forgetting about the Jaguars because of the Aaron Rodgers arrival, but I feel like the Jets didn't do enough to help him out, especially in the offensive line for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see. The Dolphins have two. I don't know about Tua just yet. And the Bills just feel like they hit a wall, and I think the Jaguars will definitely go over that wall, I feel like. So we'll see what happens come January.
You can check out Gilbert Manzano at Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback. He does a terrific job covering the National Football League, and he's one of our guys here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Gilbert, as always, thank you for the time, and hopefully very soon you can get a little R&R before we start this thing all over again. Appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you.
Buying a car can be stressful, especially one sold as is or with no warranty. Do the 7-10 or 30-day warranties leave you wondering what will happen on day 31?
Stop. Car buying doesn't need to be so stressful. Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet now offer the exclusive Beaver Certified program protecting your used car for 7 years or 100,000 miles. That's right, certified Hondas, Fords, Nissans, and any other make you consider now come with the peace of mind you deserve. Shop worry-free at Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville.
Attention all business owners. The raining season is coming, and it's important to ensure that your property storm drains are free from debris and functioning properly. That's where Duck Duck Rooter comes in. Our powerful VACCON truck can effectively clean out your storm drains and prevent costly damage to your property from flooding. Don't let clogged storm drains ruin your business and reputation. Call Duck Duck Rooter today to schedule a cleaning before the rains hit. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's a world of difference between and that's why you can trust Famous Automotive and Tire when it comes to your vehicle's care. Because there's a difference between and. It all starts with the triangle of safety. Your tires, brakes, and the front end. Take care of those 3 points and your car will take good care of you. Start at Famous Automotive and Tires. 7 locations servicing every customer like they're famous.
He was number 55, and he's still our middle linebacker. You're gonna lose. Tom McManus. It was like he didn't know what to do. Friday from 10 to noon, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. A better way to a better window on 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. We've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler for 46 years, and this Mother's Day, we'd like to help you celebrate Mom with up to 40% off on our entire inventory. GIA certified diamonds, beautiful colored gemstones, designer brands, custom jewelry design, and Monahan Jewelers offers interest-free financing on any purchase. So get something special with a payment you can afford. Come experience your local family jeweler with a gift of fine jewelry for Mom. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Hot summer heat.
Now summertime's here, babe. Need something to keep you cool.
Keep it cool all summer long with 1010XL, Jacksonville's cool summer station.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Look, warmer weather now means mosquito, flea, and tick season is here. These pests are out for blood, but you don't have to let them win. Protect your home and family with Kingfish Pest Control. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their products are safe for kids and pets. Plus, with a 100% satisfaction guarantee, you can relax knowing your yard is pest-free. Call today, mention the Jags to receive 10% off your initial service. That's Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician, Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular movement is key to so many health benefits. Aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Decide to only take the stairs if you're walking less than 6 floors. Never park in the first 10 spaces of the parking lot. Walk during your work breaks. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and take a short, brisk walk before the chaos of the day starts. There are so many easy ways to stay active. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And thank you to my friend Gilbert Manzano of Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. We found out the first two dominoes that fell on the Jaguars' schedule. October 1st, the home team in London against Atlanta. October 8th, the road team. Again, that's important to note. The road team against Buffalo. So one home game for the Jaguars, quote-unquote, one road game for the Jaguars. Back-to-back games in London on October 1st and October 8th. Tomorrow night on Hacker After Dark, we will know the remaining 15 games on the schedule. Again, we already know who the Jaguars play. We know where the games will take place. We just don't know when the games will take place, but we will find that information out tomorrow night at around 8 o'clock, right when we're hitting the air on a Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Well, that'll just about do it for a Wednesday night edition. Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out with us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Boy, we were absolutely jam-packed tonight. We got a lot of people to thank. Again, Gilbert Manzano of Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback. Thank you to Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network. The Jaguar rookies come in for rookie minicamp beginning on Friday. Thank you to Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network for looking back on the Jaguar draft class with us. Back in hour number one, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated talking Jaguars, AFC South, and more. Matt thinks the Jaguars could win this division in 2023 by 5 or 6 games, and I don't think he was joking. He is very, very high on the Jaguars. And Neil Reynolds, we went over across the pond earlier in hour number one. Neil Reynolds is our guy over there from Sky Sports as we talk Jaguars and London. Again, the Atlanta game and the Buffalo game we played over there in the month of October. We'll be back tomorrow night on a Thursday when the NFL schedule is released, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for staying up with us on a Wednesday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you tomorrow night on a Thursday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Chad and Sandy Newman have a promise for you at chadandsandy.com. Your home is going to be sold guaranteed, or guess what, gang? They will buy it. Right now, it is prime home selling season. Home buyers are actively looking. Mortgage rates are stabilizing. It's the ideal time to get your home sold for maximum dollar. So any problems you think you may have, whether you want maximum equity for your home but not sure how, or maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades, don't worry about all those, because chadandsandy.com have a promise for you. They guarantee your home sold at agreed upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Denny and Patty in Waterfront Manor said another agent failed to sell our luxury waterfront home. We were tired of waiting, so we had moved out. It was costing us a fortune. We decided to put Chad and Sandy's guarantee to the test, and they did it. Our home sold in 12 days for $56,000 higher than the previous agents even suggested. Call Chad and Sandy, or better yet, go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.